Another school shooting in the United States, this time in the state of Nevada, where a 12-year-old boy killed a math teacher and wounded 2 students before killing himself. With these stories and more next on Primetime News. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. It's Tuesday, October 22nd here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I'm Yoo Ji-hye.
And I'm Sean Lim. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin this evening with the widening scandal over alleged illegal electioneering during last year's presidential election.
The nation's acting prosecution chief called for a fresh probe into a conflict between prosecutors in charge of the case, while the defense ministry launched a raid on the Cyber Warfare Command's headquarters. Arirang News' political correspondent Kim Hyun-ji reports.
The nation's acting prosecutor general, Kil Tae-gi, on Tuesday ordered an inspection into an internal conflict between a special task force investigating allegations that the spy agency meddled in last year's presidential election and the task force's superiors. Prosecutor Yoon Sung-yeol, who had been leading the probe, was removed from the task force last week for overseeing raids on the homes of 4 NIS officials and detaining 3 of them, all without the permission of his superiors. However, Yoon said at a parliamentary audit Monday that he did report his plan to his superior, Cho Young-gon, the chief of the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office. Yoon said he visited Cho's house on the night of October 15th to discuss adding a new charge to the indictment against former spy agency chief Won Se-hun, who was indicted in June on charges of ordering an online smear campaign against the Democratic Party candidate in last year's presidential election, Moon Jae-in. However, Yoon's superior Cho said Yoon never officially asked for his authorization. Meanwhile, the Defense Ministry announced Tuesday that 4 members of its secretive Cyber Warfare Command unit have admitted to having posted comments online in favor of the ruling party ahead of last year's presidential election. The ministry said, however, that the 4 members were only expressing their personal thoughts and were not given any orders from the top. The clash between the former lead prosecutor investigating the NIS case and his superior has in turn sparked another row between the rival parties. The ruling Saenuri Party has ordered the prosecution to get its house back in order, while the main opposition Democratic Party says the December presidential election was rigged. Kim Hyun-ji, Arirang News.
At the nation's top office, President Park Geun-hye held a summit with visiting Polish President Bronisław Komorowski on Tuesday.
The 2 leaders agreed to upgrade diplomatic relations to a strategic partnership with an aim of further strengthening cooperation in various sectors, especially on the trade and defense fronts. To that end, 2 MOUs were signed, one on defense cooperation and the other on double taxation. Korea is moving forward with a project to export T-50 fighter jets to Poland, which is expected to be worth some $400 to $500 million. The Polish leader is the first European head of state to make a state visit to Korea since President Park came into office in February. Korea's biotech and biomedical industries are considered new growth engines for the country, and the Korean government is expected to spare no effort in supporting them.
Kim Young-gil reports on the Bio Valley in Osong, which aims to become the first specialized industrial complex that combines biotech and biomedical-related businesses.
New medicines, cutting-edge medical devices, and medical research and development. These are just a few of the areas the Korean government plans to focus over the next 10 years to keep the country on the cutting edge of the biotech industry and drive economic development. To get things started, the government is building a domestic complex called Osong Bio Valley that combines facilities for the biotech and biomedical industries, universities, research institutes, and government organizations. The complex located in Chungcheong province is expected to cost $4 billion and will be finished in 2038. The biggest investment thus far has come from biopharmaceutical companies at 53.3%. Korea's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Hyun Oh-seok paid a visit to the complex on Monday. He toured Meta Biomed, which develops dentistry and surgical products, and met with other business leaders with facilities in the complex. The minister stressed that the biomedical industry is full of potential, with projected earnings of $4 trillion over the next 10 years. He promised to improve regulations, increase R&D capacity, and nurture human capital. The complex is part of a third round of government measures designed to boost investment in the biomedical sector, and a fourth round will be announced in December. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Amid a record-long buying spree, Korean shares owned by foreigners has hit a 6-year high, raising expectations of a brighter outlook for the local bourse.
New data from the Korea Exchange shows that overseas investors held nearly 1/3 of the stocks traded on the main bourse and the tech-heavy Kosdaq on Monday, worth roughly $414 billion. This is the highest proportion since 2007, when foreign ownership accounted for about 33% of foreign shares, or Korean shares that is. Foreigners purchased about $198 million worth of local shares on this Tuesday, buying for a 38th consecutive session to extend the longest streak on record. At the closing bell, the benchmark Kospi closed up nearly 0.2% to 2056, its best finish since August 2011. The tech-heavy Kosdaq also finished up 0.5%, while on the foreign exchange counter, the Korean currency closed stronger against the greenback at 1,061.
Before your day ends and another begins, get the latest news live from Seoul.
Residents whose features
restrictions is on the rise.
closing ceremony.
Expert analysis from Asia's heartbeat.
The legislature circumstances that
With a viewpoint only Korea's global network can provide.
the United States, the latest report less than a
Unrivaled access from a team always on standby.
Meaning came on the news are trying to cover up the South's true intentions.
Another school shooting in the United States, this time in the state of Nevada, where a 12-year-old boy killed a math teacher and wounded 2 students before killing himself. Our Kim Min-ji has the details.
Dozens of police cars surround the grounds of this Nevada school as armed policemen storm into the premises. Officials say a 12-year-old student who has not been identified opened fire using a semi-automatic handgun at Sparks Middle School just before classes were due to start on Monday. The boy killed a teacher and injured 2 of his fellow students before taking his own life. The student shot the teacher, identified as 45-year-old Michael Lansbury, who was trying to stop him shooting other students.
5 shots, just pops, just like you hear it from a distance, gunshot. It sounded like from the back of the school.
Of the 2 injured students, 1 was shot in the shoulder and the other in the abdomen. Police say 1 student is out of surgery and the other is doing well.
I will confirm that there are 2 deceased and 2 individuals injured. I want to emphasize that the students are safe.
The governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, said he was deeply saddened by the horrific shooting and sent his condolences. Students at the school were evacuated to a nearby high school and classes were canceled. Investigations are ongoing, but it's yet unknown what drove such a young child to commit such a terrible crime. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Amid growing outrage in France over the revelation of extensive spying activities by the United States, President Barack Obama telephoned his French counterpart François Hollande to discuss the recent intelligence disclosures. The U.S. leader assured the French president that an investigation is on the way. Our Kim Hyun-bin has more.
U.S. President Barack Obama has called French President François Hollande over reported aggressive surveillance of French citizens by the National Security Agency. The White House says Obama told Hollande the U.S. is reviewing its intelligence gathering to ensure a balance between security and privacy. Both leaders also agreed they should continue diplomatic discussions about the issue. The call came after French daily Le Monde reported the NSA eavesdropped on over 70 million phone calls in just under a month, between December 2012 and January 2013. Earlier Monday, France summoned U.S. Ambassador Charles Rivkin to provide prompt clarifications and justifications for the alleged spying.
The information published by Le Monde newspaper states practices that are unacceptable. We have an extremely useful cooperation with the United States to fight terrorism, but this cooperation cannot justify everything. Therefore, we are asking the United States for prompt clarification, explanations, and justifications.
Le Monde says the main targets appear to be individuals suspected of terrorism, but French politicians and businesses were also on the list.
Through the secret PRISM and upstream programs, the surveillance and spying goes beyond the constant and official justification of the fight against terrorism.
When reports first surfaced, criticism in France was fairly muted due to the start of US-EU free trade talks in July. But it now appears the Obama administration will have its work cut out justifying the NSA's alleged actions. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
It's the largest, most advanced Navy destroyer the U.S. has ever built, and it's ready for launch. The first-in-class stealth destroyer will be deployed to the Pacific Ocean next year, a move seen by many as a way to keep both China and North Korea in check. Our Defense Ministry correspondent Han Da-eun reports.
This is a Zumwalt-class destroyer, America's next-generation Navy destroyer. After a bit of a delay due to the federal government shutdown, the destroyer is set to be launched this week and will be deployed to the Pacific Ocean next year. At more than 180 meters long, some 30 meters longer than pre-existing destroyers, and nearly 25 meters wide, the Zumwalt is the largest Navy destroyer the U.S. has ever built. As its sleek silhouette suggests, the most notable feature of the Zumwalt is its stealth feature, which keeps the ship from being detected by enemy radar. The Zumwalt has the capacity to load one MH-60R or an SH-60 LAMS helicopter and 3 unmanned aerial vehicles, and comes armed with long-range subsonic Tomahawk missiles and vertical launch anti-submarine rockets and other weaponry. Often referred to as an aircraft carrier killer, the destroyer is also equipped with an advanced railgun system that has a range of 160 kilometers. Many weapons experts see the destroyer's launch as a move to counter China's growing naval influence in the Asia-Pacific region, and there's no doubt it's already attracted the attention of the Chinese government. The high-tech destroyer is also expected to help the U.S. keep tabs on North Korea, which has continued to threaten regional security with its nuclear and missile programs. Han Da-eun, Arirang News.
The bodies of 3 Korean passengers who died in the plane crash last week in Laos have been found and identified. Korea's foreign ministry said Tuesday that a local search team confirmed the identities of the 3 victims through their fingerprints. The Lao airplane crashed into the Mekong River amid bad weather, killing all 49 passengers and crew members on board, including 3 Korean businessmen. Authorities are still trying to recover the bodies of the remaining 6, as well as the black box recorder to determine the exact cause of the crash. In Korea, getting hitched can require deep pockets. The average cost of a wedding in the nation has skyrocketed to nearly $50,000 per person, almost double the average annual salary of a Korean worker. So where does all the money go? Park Ji-won has this report.
The Korea Consumer Agency recently conducted an online poll of 1,000 people who either got married or had children who got married in the past 2 years. The results show that the average wedding cost per person stands at slightly more than $49,000. The cost includes wedding meals and decorations, presents, and the honeymoon, but excludes housing. Men spend a little more than women on average because grooms tend to have more wedding guests and therefore spend more on meal expenses. The cost of the wedding depends on where the couple ties the knot. Hotels are the most expensive venues for weddings at an average cost of more than $22,000, followed by wedding halls, churches, and public places. And then there's the matter of where to live. Only about 11% of newlyweds decide to continue living at their current residences. The rest choose to either buy or pay jeonse, a Korean system of paying a lump sum deposit to rent apartments. The survey results show that those couples who decide to buy new homes spent about $256,000 on average, while couples deciding to rent on lump sum deposits spent about $145,000. 85% of the respondents in the Korea Consumer Agency survey said they felt that Korea's wedding culture is overly extravagant, but said they went through with all of it anyway because of social pressures.
There should be a change in individual perception or weddings. Most weddings in Korea are designed around parents or around leaving a good impression on guests. Wedding couples need to take more initiative by designing their own weddings in a unique and original way with a smaller number of guests.
The agency also urged the government to devise measures to support ceremonies at public places for those who want the wedding but not the hefty bill. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
It's that time of the year when a growing number of Koreans head outdoors to take in the changing hues as nature greets autumn. And this particular season, more and more are choosing to fully immerse themselves in nature.
That's right. Camping has rapidly risen as one of the most popular outdoor leisure activities here in Korea, with the number of campers expected to double this year to 2 million.
To tell us more about the camping boom in the nation, our Yu Leon joins us live here in the studio. So hi, Leon. Why all this sudden interest in camping?
Hi, Ji Sean. So the two of you are probably well aware of this so-called well-being trend here in Korea, which stresses a healthy lifestyle. We've seen a lot more people exercising more and eating organic food in the past couple of years. Well, now the latest cultural buzzword these days is healing. People who are stressed from the hyper-competitive society we live in and the prolonged economic difficulties plaguing the nation are now seeking activities to heal their tired souls. And as it turns out, camping has become part of the recipe. So to find out more about the recent boom, I went straight to the source, to a camping ground, to ask actual campers why the activity has become so popular. Take a look. This camping site is right in the middle of Seoul. Due to its location and its spaciousness, the site has become a favorite spot for campers who no longer have to venture out of the city to get a breath of fresh air.
It's nearly impossible to book a camping site here because the spots fill up so quickly. I was lucky enough to get in today because someone canceled at the last minute.
Those who have camped out at the site say it feels like a well-earned break from the daily grind.
We live in an extremely fierce and competitive world. Coming out here in nature, I feel a sense of healing, so I keep coming back.
Camping has become a popular leisure activity here in Korea. The number of campgoers nationwide doubled to 1.3 million this year from 3 years ago. This has naturally led to a boom in the camping supplies market, which is expected to reach $560 million this year, a more than threefold increase from 2010. And camping has gotten more comfortable in that time as well, as campsites evolve to better accommodate campgoers. Each campsite even has a mini kiosk like this, so campers can easily gain access to electricity. The access to electricity is helping campers create a more homey atmosphere. Some tents almost resemble a typical room in a house, while others have even used decorative lights to brighten up the night. From regular campers to office workers, many are trading in a typical night out in the urban jungle for a night under the stars.
Right, night under the stars sounds perfect. But Leon, like you mentioned earlier, the camping boom seems to be in tune with today's healing trend. Why are so many people so drawn to these healing activities?
Well, as I said earlier, more people, both young and old, are feeling the need to escape from their day-to-day grind. Experts say this generation is suffering from a wider range of societal problems than previous generations.
What we're seeing now is youth unemployment, a rise in the number of homeless and early retirements. It's hard to get a job, and even those with a job are facing pressures to retire early. This is creating a lot of anxiety and stress. They are hurting and they want a sense of healing through leisure activities like camping.
And aside from the societal factors, he said camping became a popular leisure activity as people simply were allowed more leisure time. Korea adopted a 5-day work system back in 2004 and a 5-day school system just last year. So this also explains why more parents and children alike who now have a full 2 weekend days off are spending quality family time out camping.
Right, well, it seems like a worthwhile pastime and a fun one indeed. Thanks so much, Leon, for the report.
No problem.
All eyes were once again on Korea's Marine boy Park Tae-hwan at the 94th National Sports Festival in Incheon.
He was in the pool to chase yet another gold medal, and Stephen Che is here to tell us how he did. Hello there.
Hey guys, yes indeed, the Marine boy has been the man to watch in his quest to sweep gold medals in 5 swimming competitions. Coming into the day, he had already earned 3 from winning the 200 and 400 meter freestyles and the 400 meter relay. And for his 4th gold attempt in the 8x100 meter relay, he was the last man to jump in the pool for his team, but the first to touch the wall. Clocking in at 7 minutes, 24.63 seconds, Park and his team earned a top podium finish. Now he'll go for his 5th gold medal at the 400 meter medley relay on Thursday. Moving on, now with the Korean Series and the World Series yet to begin, let's move on over to the sidelines with some free agent news. The Kia Tigers free agent pitcher Yoon Seok-min is now getting attention from a top Major League Baseball team, the New York Yankees. Reports say that his agent Scott Boras will discuss the possibility of a move this week with Yankee GM Brian Cashman, who won't have to put up a bunch of cash just to negotiate with him. The 2011 KBO MVP is also getting interest from the Minnesota Twins and the Chicago Cubs. Now finishing off, let's get to Tuesday's top KBL matchup. The Dongbu Promi and the Samsung Thunders played off in Seoul. The Thunder took over the first quarter, going up by 14 points. And it's 45-34 by the half. Now after a high-scoring third quarter by both teams, Dongbu puts it in high gear in the 4th. They cut the lead to 1 with about 30 seconds to play and force a turnover by Samsung's Kim Seung-yeon. It's their last chance, 10.8 seconds left, the pass is in. Kim Ju-sung puts in the easy layup, finishes with 27 points, and Dongbu comes back to win 85-84. Now that does it for me here in the Sports Center. This has been Stephen Che. Check back at midnight for the latest in the world of sports.
Last week, tropical storm Wipa left at least 13 people dead in Japan, and now another tropical storm is headed towards the island nation.
For details, let's go over to our Kim Bo-kyung at the Weather Center. Now, Bo-kyung, where is the storm now, and will it hit Japan?
Well, Tropical Storm Francisco, which is classified as a super typhoon, is currently passing 720 kilometers southeast of Okinawa at a rate of 15 kilometers per hour. At this pace, it should strike Japan sometime around Thursday. And as there is a high possibility of floods, our viewers in Japan should take precautions. Moving on, here in Korea, we have cloudy skies in the Gangwon province and the southern regions, but it's clear elsewhere in the nation. Tomorrow and on Thursdays, temperatures should be higher than average. Now, Seoul, Daegu, and Gwangju, Busan hits 22 degrees. Meanwhile, Gwangju tops out at 23. Moving on, Daejeon and Jeju should make it to the low 20s, and rainy Mount Kumgang peaks at 7. That's all I have for you this hour. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll be back with more updates after midnight.
And that's our broadcast on this Tuesday night. I'm Yuji Hae in Seoul.
And I'm Sean Lim. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon.
The mini shops being open 24 hours.
The 24-hour service, the places you can get. I like beer, so go and get a beer with my friend in the 24-hour convenience store. That's really good. So I'm happy with that.
I like Dongdaemun Market. Dongdaemun Market was really interesting, but we went there a little too early, so a lot of the stores were still closed.